companies are scared of.
Yeah, it's why the Renewable Heat Incentive years ago fell flat. It was reported several places years ago about how it just hadn't taken off and how it was a failure and how all these different terms that were used years ago for the Renewable Heat Incentive. It's because business, especially like ourselves, we were like, oh, is this technology going to be around a long time, and is this support going to exist for a long time? And you're a bit nervous about it, and it wasn't back then. Now it does seem a little bit more prominent. People are going ahead with these systems, heat pumps, and it is giving a little bit more confidence. The only thing I think the industry needs is confidence from 2028 that the grant funding is going to exist, because if it doesn't, you may find that people are they just want to fit gas boilers, and they want to wait till see what plays out. And there are some plumbers that are just not interested in renewable technology. There's a heating company in our town, probably the second sort of largest competitor to us, that we speak to, and they just said they're not interested in fitting heat pumps. They just, or air conditioning.
There is an element of, I understand that, because like, I've got a heat pump, and to be honest with you, it has been problematic, and I don't want to be too negative about the future, but I think my biggest worry is to, especially with my podcast, Don't Get Left Out in the Cold, this is what it's all about, is so Mrs. Jones, you've gone out innocently, you've quoted her a system, I've gone out, competed against you, say we're $8,500 for a heat pump. She gets a £7,500 heat pump grant. She's happy. £1,000. They've got a 5-year warranty on it. Year 6 it breaks. The average breakdown on a heat pump is £1,500. So that's my worry. So my heat pump's just broke. We looked at the costs of getting an engineer to do that. There was several £100s worth of failure. The electrics had shorted because we had a power surge when they put the electrics of a power cut, caused damage to it. Now I know that would have been about £1,200 odd pound, maybe £1,500 to fix. Mine's broke down 3 times. My big worry is, you're right about reliability, hope that'll go. But when I had my heat pump fitted, it was like, oh right, the last 25 years. And now when I get the manufacturer and it's been in 12 years, they tell me that it's an old heat pump and you might want to replace it. So if you've just mentioned right at the beginning, and I'm not that I'm disagreeing, I don't think heat pumps will ever come down, because I've never seen any products in the UK relating to a car, a boiler, anything that's engineered, go down in price.
Well, it is. Not. So we're in November now, and the 1st of December this year, Worcester Bosch's prices are dropping. So some units are going down.
But do you think that's because they're getting the fines? So they're dropping it's easier to drop the heat. I mean, it's mixed that. So Worcester Bosch, as you know, Ideal, them all, are getting fined. So there was talks they may as well give the heat pumps away at the minute because they're not in target.
Possibly. Or the other option, or the other idea is that
I actually feel sorry, by the way, I'm sorry to interrupt again, for the manufacturers. I think they've been put on too much pressure on them to do this when they don't even sell boilers. We sell the boilers.
Yeah, it's not good, is it? It's almost like a forced agenda. You will do it, or we'll fine you, or you'll pay for it. It's kind of like, oh well, the business has to sell heat pumps, or you're just going to end up with this massive fine. But I don't think that, like the example with Bosch dropping their prices, I think they've brought a new product out and they're finding their feet with it. I mean, ideally, we all want to sell whatever we do as business is.
Yeah, we want to do the best for everybody.
At a good rate, so we all do well out of it. And I think it's just partly a reflection of that, perhaps, and partly a reflection they need to get the numbers out, and lower prices do drive numbers. In some cases, so
yeah, I think you're absolutely spot on there. I mean, remember when the last recession, and they give you could trade your old van in or your car.
They did the boiler scrappage scheme.
Yeah, the £300.
Yeah, the £300. Was it Warm Front or something like that?
Yes, it was.
Yeah,
and
you got a voucher.
Really, I mean, bloody hell, the things that we've done over the years, and I'm going to be dead honest with you, we've never really profited from it. We've just got more custom from it, and the customer's got a better deal. So it gives us a sales hook.
Yeah.
We'll give you this, we'll give you that. But I don't think M&R's ever really made much profit out of it. The people seem to make profit out of them sort of schemes are the people that are no longer with us.
Yes, to which we've had a lot of those scenarios. And I think we when we're looking back at when solar became a massive thing, like years ago, and there was a huge kickback into the industry, into the grid, and you got 45p a kilowatt, and lots of businesses appeared. And it feels a little bit like that with heat pumps. These manufacturers are coming from different parts of the world to try and get you to fit them, and there's installers springing up everywhere that now fit heat pumps. The problem with heat pumps long term is for qualified gas engineers that hold a qualification where you have to go to a training centre every 5 years. I know gas engineers moan about generally. I've got to resit my gas.
Sorry, you guys doing a podcast?
Come and join us.
Just about to do Sadie's birthday cake, but I'll be over in a minute.
Okay.
Are you in the middle of the podcast?
No, it's cool.
Sorry, I didn't realise.
Don't worry, pal.
Sorry.
Yeah, so essentially one of the issues around the skill of fitting a heat pump. So as a gas engineer, and I know gas engineers get a bit upset, and after 5 years they have to go back, and it's like, oh God, it's not a really desirable thing. But actually, that's what's bringing a lot of value to their job and their position, their salary. The problem with heat pumps is there's no real qualification for it, and
It's different.
The painter you could be a painter and decorator, and then you could be fitting a heat pump that afternoon or servicing it. So once you take that skill away, it takes the value of the invoice down. So hopefully GasSafe transition into some kind of...
I think... I'm just quite laughing about that painter and decorator scenario. Come fit your heat pump. I think, actually, heat pumps are not as complicated to install as people think.
I think it depends how detailed you are. Yeah. Because I think if you follow all the steps the MCS lay out, I think there's a skill actually involved in making sure that the heat pump's suitable for the property, it's sized correctly, the pipe works right, and it's like an efficiently installed product. Screwing it in and putting a couple of pipes to it and turning it on and running off to the hills, which is we do see.
Like boilers, you see a lot of.
We do see that, and with these incentivised £7,500 incentives from the government, there's companies that are obviously setting themselves up for that kind of thing where they go and fit in heat pumps. They may not be sized correctly, they may not be to MCS standards. I read something on a heat pump forum the other day that somebody had gone out and they said, oh, you won't get your certification for your heat pump. They told the customer said, oh, is this true? He was asking other heat pump installers, oh, you won't get your certification for the heat pump because MCS have got a massive backlog. And all these installers were like, no, that's nonsense. It takes me 20 minutes to register it. I can print it off. And basically it sounded like an installer had gone out, in MCS, he's fitted it and he's
signing it off. Someone else signing it off, whatever. Is that what you're thinking? Somebody maybe?
Yeah, possibly. But yeah, a lot of these companies tend to exist.
So that's what happened with the solar, didn't it? And stuff like that. They had the MCS. Because to my opinion, like even GasSafe and MCS, it's all right having MCS and gas, but when we've had issues and you report it to GasSafe, they can't really do anything unless you're GasSafe registered. If you're not, then it's an health and safety issue. The whole system needs to change a little bit because the people who are fitting the heat pumps, they just close the company down or go bankrupt. And there's not... See, with gas, it's dangerous, isn't it? It's not as dangerous with a heat... Well, it is if you get your pressurised G3 wrong. You could have an issue there. But what I'm saying is that it's not quite... In the UK, I don't think we're policing it correctly. If it were policed, it would stop a lot of the issues that you're talking about.
Yeah, but on the same hand, I'm sure GasSafe have a lot of complaints that are people's misconception or perception of what really an issue is. I mean, you get some people that will perceive something a certain way, they'll complain, they'll think it's the end of the world. In reality, it's a nothingness, storm in a teacup. So I think giving organisations like GasSafe too much control may lead to people at GasSafe saying and doing things that are unjust or disproportionate. Because there are a lot of circumstances or situations where things are a little bit storm in a teacup.
Grey areas, is that what we're talking about?
Yeah, I mean, you work for 100 customers and you do one thing with them all. I don't know what that might be, but somebody might just get really frustrated with you about doing X. And we find that with ourselves. You could do repetitively the same thing with every customer, whether it's a process or a message to say you're on the way or email the night before, and it might disturb one customer or wake them up, and it's the end of the world. You shouldn't be sending these messages at 7, but the other 99 are happy to receive a reminder. So it's, I don't think having GasSafe having too much control would be a good thing, because then it's that effect of you taking on board people's problems, which in reality, a proportion of the time aren't problems.
Got you.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, good advice from me. That